Hey everybody, this is Amy Reeder and Brandon Montclair, and you're listening and watching PODCORN Podcast.
That's right. First episode, officially.
Yeah. We were done with the soft launch, right? We did a little bit of practice. This is the real deal.
This is it.
Yeah.
100% go.
Yeah. So we make comics. That's why we're here. I'm an artist, he's a writer.
Yeah, and we really want to thank Twitch for kind of inviting us, especially, DJ Wheat.
Yes.
I don't know why Amy's going back and forth. You are like...
I just am.
Okay.
Sometimes I like to move around. I like to keep people guessing.
Yeah. So thanks to Marcus for saying, hey, come and do your show on PODCORN on Twitch. So here we are.
Yep.
Talking comics. Like Amy said, we make comics. We're working on a book called Rocket Girl right now. I'm writing it. Amy's drawing it. What else you worked on?
I drew Madame Xanadu for a long time, and I also drew Fool's Gold for myself for Tokyo Pop before that, and I've drawn some Batwoman and Supergirl for DC Comics.
Yeah, and I was Amy's editor on Madame Xanadu, and when I was working at DC, also worked on all the Batman titles for a little bit, some cool special projects like Batman Year 100 by Paul Pope, Vertigo stuff. I was Hellblazer, Day Tripper, Sweet Tooth, a bunch of odds and ends. But here we are. And the big week for comics.
Yes, really
tons of
good
comics.
Week.
Yeah, this is actually, I don't know how much they can see, but not for show.
We are like making it rain with comics,
which was
today.
Nice. It was we unplanned to have a slew of new books coming in today. Stuff that we've been reading, stuff that we really like. So
so it's a really good introduction because basically we're going to talk about things that you should be reading, and a lot of those things came out just this week.
Right, and even sometimes we pick up something on a whim. Let's start with your
That's true.
Your semi-pick of the week. My
semi-pick of the week would be Weird World #1.
Yeah.
It's by Jason Aaron and Mike Del Mundo, and it's a Marvel series, which I don't even know why it's Marvel, because when I read it, I don't know a lot of Marvel stuff, but this is like kind of a fantasy world, and I know nothing about it going in.
Yeah, well,
and I didn't need to.
Yeah, and if you're not super familiar with comics, right now at Marvel there is a whole Secret Wars miniseries going on, which takes all kind of alternate realities and smashes them together to set up a new status quo that's going to be starting at the end of the year in the fall. But so they're all this battle world, right? And if you're reading the miniseries, there's each different land is kind of jammed into a map, and Doctor Doom is kind of lording over everything. But in this world, the Weird World, it's just weird stuff. It was great though, very unexpected.
Yeah. No, it's just really beautiful, basically. Like, I don't know, Mike Del Mundo, he did this Elektra thing, which was pretty good, but I feel like this is totally him, and it's totally awesome. He uses, like, white as a color, which I really like, as kind of like a base to work off of, and like, it's just told in a totally different way, but that makes total sense,
Yeah, you can check out his Elektra stuff. It's pretty cool. But Elektra, it's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, because he's following Bill Sienkiewicz, who's like
and
amazing.
Also Frank Miller, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I think Sienkiewicz and Miller worked so closely together that you can kind of get away with it.
Yeah.
But and then Sienkiewicz is such a master artist. But it's nice to see. It's hard to look at, especially somebody with any kind of off style, and look at it and say, oh, he's doing this cool Elektra stuff without thinking of Elektra Assassin. Yeah. So I think it's kind of good to him be doing his own
start
thing.
anew. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. That's why I picked it up, is because of the art, and I think it was a really good read too. It's just basically about survival in crazy fantasy worlds, but I feel like these days you don't really get a lot of fantasy and really good fantasy. Like usually it's just sci-fi. So
yeah, well, that's kind of the creative. You get to for the whole summer, Marvel gets to kind of cut loose and do different kinds of stories, different styles, not beholden to continuity, and really kind of spread their wings and see what they can do. But like you said, you were just I think it was recommended by the guy at the shop. Said, oh, you should check it out.
Yeah.
So because Amy wouldn't have picked it up.
The cover didn't really strike my fancy. It just was sort of like manly, giant sword. But
is a giant sword manly?
Yeah.
Because there's two things. We're going to get to covers at the end of the show, but we'll also get to very manly, giant, sword-like items. And I don't mean to be salacious, but it is so bizarre, but we will get to that later.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Stay tuned for Saga 29 and why the internet isn't talking about it since yesterday.
They're
nonstop.
over it. They're just like,
me.
yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah. But anyway, Weird World was a nice surprise.
Yes, very good.
Checked it out.
Definitely
One of our favorites every week, Silk.
Yes.
Came out also. That's not participating in the Secret Wars
teams.
crossover, so this is just the
even
new book.
Even though the cover seems to have Spidey on it. Oh, because Spidey's in it. But
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, our friend and great artist Stacey Lee, she's a newcomer and she's quite amazing. Is drawing it, and she's just great at. She's great at telling stories. It's amazing. Like, she should have been doing this a long time ago.
Well, it's funny because a lot of parallels between you and Stacey, I think. A minor one is maybe you both have a manga influence, but I'm not even talking about that. When you first started working on Madame Xanadu, or even when you first started working on Fool's Gold at Tokyo Pop, not a whole lot of experience before being thrown into the deep end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Stacey, I don't know if she's done any interiors before this. Certainly, maybe something short here or there.
No, she had not. She hadn't published any interior work before she was suddenly doing a Marvel book.
Yeah, and that's really tough to do. Maybe you can relate, even though you
a little bit. Hers is more extreme than mine.
Well, when you worked for Tokyo Pop, it was weird because Tokyo Pop was so well known for all of its translations of Japanese manga. But they wanted to kind of have their own IP, right? They wanted to have their own kind of brands that they could build because they were all doing licensed stuff from Japan. So before you submit, the first thing you submitted got published.
Yeah.
Which is unusual. You're the John Olerud of comics.
Yeah, I mean, I guess...
Amy has no idea who that is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
He was a baseball player who didn't go to the minor leagues. He just, I think...
He just jumped
I always
into
remember
the
they
major.
say that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean... It was kind of hard. At least Stacey was already a professional artist before that.
Sure.
So she was an illustrator.
Right.
She just didn't draw comics. Yeah,
but what's it like? I remember it's funny because I was the judge on that. That's how Amy and I first met back at Tokyo Pop. I was just an intern, or maybe I was working staff. But it was very early. It was my first professional gig also, and I was the one of the judges on Rising Stars of Manga, which kind of solicited this stuff. And I remember calling up Amy. Not knowing her, of course, and saying, "Oh, congratulations, you're one of the finalists in the book." There were 10. Like everyone submitted a short story, and we picked 10. There was a few hundred, entries.
I remember you talked too fast for me to process.
Hopefully, is that a hint that I should slow down now, because, or have you caught up?
No, I was very excited at the time too, so it's just hard to listen.
Very excited. Did I say this is Brandon Montclair from Tokyo Pop? Like, were you know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't even know. I was like, it all is mostly a blur.
I have that effect on people.
But I remember it. It's just that I don't remember anything that was said.
So what I remember...
Except I asked, where did I place?
Yeah, I remember saying, hey, you made it. There's hundreds of people.
I'm a runner-up, which means that I wasn't
I don't think I said
second, or third.
I just said that you're in the book, but then you said, where was I? And, maybe that wasn't even announced yet or set, and maybe I said you were runner-up, so there was like first, second, third, and then 7 runner-ups or whatever. And Amy was so angry that she wasn't number 1.
I didn't tell you that I was angry.
You told me after the fact. And I could tell, because you were like, where did I place?
Well, for some reason, at the time, I really thought I was a lot better than I was. Which is good, I think.
You still think
it motivated me to keep going. Really?
No, you're just one of those. Amy's the unusual artist, and you'll get, if you watch us every week, you'll start to learn that. Some people hate their stuff. Amy's in love with her finished product.
I'm vain, but I think it's healthy vanity. I don't think it's gone too far, and I say that because I think most people should be more vain or feel allowed to be.
But having just celebrated your 10th year in comics.
Yeah.
You were vain back then also, but you look back and you say, well, maybe it wasn't all that.
No, I mean, but I still look back and think, wow, there was really something there that was different from everybody else, and I can recognize in it why I would get better. But yeah, I thought that I was gonna blow everybody away.
Yeah, so never having drawn comics, never having done anything. Graduating college, maybe you drew in the side of your margin of your notebook, but you read a little bit of manga. You weren't even a huge manga fan. Send in the submission, made the final cut. Very upset that you weren't 1, 2, or 3. Demanded to know where you were put. I'm pretty sure I didn't tell you. Amy was the last one in the book.
You said you were. I was somewhere in the middle.
In my mind, and this is true, I really liked your stuff from day one, and one of the few people I said I have to work with when I transitioned to DC. Another person we'll talk about in a minute too, because he has a new book coming out today. Yeah. But there was a disagreement with me and the senior editor as to
was it Mark Panicia?
It was Mark Panicia,
who edits at Marvel.
Who edits at Marvel? Who's edited you at least once, and maybe
just for a cover.
Maybe again.
Yeah.
But who's a good guy, and there was certainly nothing personal.
No.
But wanted to make room, I think, for somebody else, and you were the one that was going to get bumped. But I had worked on it. We talked, and I said, let's definitely keep Amy in. And I honestly I don't remember who did get bumped. I will say that we started we did the contest twice a year, and we started running out of people who were good enough to publish. So towards the end, we actually called and said, "Hey, you should submit one because it would be a good chance that it would get in." So whoever you bumped probably made it in.
Yeah, eventually, if they try it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this isn't about me.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say one other thing. Well, it's about you, right? Everything's about you. No, I'm just kidding. So then, Madame Xanadu, I'm working at DC Comics. Working at Madame Xanadu. We'll tell that story another day in long form. But in short form, you're nominated for an Eisner Award. Again, not having any... In your rookie season, not really having too much under your belt.
Experience, yeah.
And I will say, nominated for Best Cover Artist, having done professionally 8 covers in your entire life.
Yeah.
So that being said, Stacey Lee... kind of the same, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if she's going to be nominated for an Eisner. I would vote for her, but
she's definitely
she had done a few
suddenly
covers.
Super duper popular.
Yeah, and
the book's doing great.
Right, and this issue 5 just came out today, and it doesn't really end the arc. Sometimes you say, "Hey, 5 kind of puts you where you're at," but and maybe they'll collect it here. But it seems like still in the middle of its first story. She did the first 3 issues, had a filler for 4, but back for number 5, and it's tough. I mean. I can only imagine getting thrown in the deep end, the kind of pressure that's on you.
Yeah, I know it is really. It is a weird thing. You kind of have to get used to it. I mean, you're super lucky, but you haven't worked hard enough to get there to even appreciate that enough.
Yeah, it's funny, and we like Stacey a lot, and we were sitting next to her at New York Comic Con, and Amy and I are always. We did a book called Halloween Eve, a one shot a couple of years ago. That if you like our book Rocket Girl, some people haven't heard of it, so you should kind of check it out. But a standalone story, and we always say, "Oh, we should bring it back. Maybe we can do it with a different artist." We never told Stacey this, but we always say, "Oh, wouldn't Stacey be great?"
Yeah.
But then, she got
she's
Marvel
she's
beat us
too
to
big
the
for us
punch.
now.
So yeah, what are you gonna do? But wow, what great stuff, and still issue to issue, tremendously better.
Yeah.
I think
No, she's huge, and I'm really excited for her.
Yeah, so I remember once having this conversation when we were working together on Xanadu, saying, "Oh, you want to keep getting better every single issue." I'm like, "Well, you can't, because at some point you're going to hit your not even prime and decline. I don't even mean to be negative about it, but when you're new, there's so much you can learn. You can't keep that trajectory of always getting better." And you were very angry to hear that.
Yeah, well, I just thought you were wrong.
Was I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can keep improving. You just kind of have to you have to build everything from scratch every time.
What do you look to improve now? What is there? Is it just whatever you can't answer, or do you think about what are my creative goals working on this page or this arc or?
I just try to figure out how to make how to just be able to sum up an emotion and everything in the best way possible. Right now I'm moving kind of slightly less realistic by just a tad bit, and so it's all that's kind of been my focus lately, is loosening up and making it very exciting and instantly hitting it right on the nose,
Yeah, a lot of artists get rougher as they get not older, but as they get more and more work. They become in love with the idea of less lines. The quicker you can get something across, the quicker if you can make someone feel a punch with spending all day drawing the hand, okay, but it's great if you can just do it with a brush.
Yeah.
With your offhand and one eye closed. You know what I mean? Do you feel a challenge that way? Because your stuff is so meticulous and so neat. Literally.
Well, I don't know. I think for a long time I felt like detail was better and realism was better. Mm-hmm. Even though I knew a lot of people disagreed, it's just aesthetically it wasn't something that I appreciated. But lately I've started to get to know various artists who still have like a level of detail, but they're not necessarily realistic. Like they definitely emphasize certain shapes and stuff. Sean Murphy's one. Bill Sienkiewicz is like a longtime one who like if you look at, not only does he exaggerate and do some crazy things, but if you really look at his compositions of bodies and stuff, he likes to make things square. Like that's his big thing, is using a straight line for something that wouldn't normally be straight. So I feel like it's my next step because I've improved all of the craft things, and I'm sure I've got more to do, but the next step really is just learning to loosen up and learning to think with my right brain instead of my left.
Yeah, certainly if you're a writer, I think you go through a stage of overwriting that you have to kind of grow out of.
Yeah.
The good news is, and this is what I tell people a lot, it's usually the last stage before being ready to be
good?
Professional. Yeah, like you're afraid, and so you have to, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you write, you come up to a certain point where it's like, oh, it's sloppy, but then you're like, no, it's really neat, it's really tight, it's you know, but it becomes too much like a monolith, and you have to loosen up, and you have to kind of take it apart, and you have to do a little bit less as a writer. Otherwise, again, it just becomes too tedious and too self-absorbed, and the only voice on the page becomes your voice rather than kind of the characters that you're speaking through.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Sean Murphy.
Yes.
Chrononauts #4.
Yep.
Written by Mark Miller, but with art by Sean Murphy. That was out this week also.
Right here, and he's going to be a guest sometime this summer with us. He's a really great artist, super amazing rendering ability with the inks. So yeah, we're really excited to have him. He has a lot of thoughts on stuff, and he just really launched like a new. He's like teaching kids. I don't really know what to call it, but like he has a home in Maine. That's
like a summer house,
yeah, like a summer house is dedicated solely to doing this like program with various apprentices. It's like an apprenticeship, where they actually have to make comics. And so I think he's doing an open call right now. So look online if you're an artist, because like every single artist that ended up being part of this apprenticeship, and they made an anthology from all the work that they did.
That's right, Cafe Racer. It was a Kickstarter also last year.
Yeah. So every single artist has now gotten a gig somewhere.
Well, you have, like I said, you have to apply. He's selective as to who.
And he's he's a bit picky and stuff. You know, he's very particular on like, you know, who he wants there. But yeah, it's a really great way if you're just trying to get to that next step.
Yeah, and he's also very outspoken, but not too much of a loudmouth. And I say that because maybe someday someone will call one of us a loudmouth, you know. But Sean has a lot of opinions and isn't afraid to talk about them, and I think in a very healthy way. That kind of, because comics sometimes is very insular, you know, and you don't tell anybody what you're doing, don't tell anybody your secrets, don't help people out. It can be. It can be also be, I think, the opposite. So when somebody's willing to say, hey, that's not right, or can be better, and whether that's the business or your own work on the page, I think it's good to be receptive and listen to that.
Yeah.
But Sean's great. Sean, we always joke about probably the most copied artist coming out of art schools these days.
Yeah.
About 5 years ago, it was Paul Pope, who will also be on the show this summer.
Yeah. Once upon a time, it was Jim Lee and Cameron Stewart.
Well, I mean, you can go on to all these different types of people. But when I was an editor at DC, we do portfolio reviews. And for a very long time, everyone coming out of, this is about 5 years ago, everyone coming out of SCAD and SVA and the Kubert School all looked like Paul Pope, because they were so enamored with him. But now it's all Sean Murphy, so I wonder what...
There's even a lot of like professional artists that look like him and actually do a really good job, but I'm always like, who thought of it first? How did this happen? Because he's always friends with these people too, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, Chrononauts is a fun story. It's going to be back for more. This is kind of like the last issue, and it is a pretty tight ending. You know what I mean? It does really wrap up the arc, but it's already been optioned. Mark Miller, who's done Kick-Ass, who's done the Secret Service, right? Kingsman, I think they called the movie. Wanted, the movie. So obviously he's been around writing forever, from Superman Red Son to a million other things. The Midas touch, I think, when it comes to getting movies made in Hollywood.
He's got an in.
Yeah, and this is a very much a great Hollywood movie in a good way. You know what I mean? About two scientists who are also a bit, they're the 21st century scientists, the cool scientists.
It's a bromance.
Yeah, it's a bromance, and traveling through time, helping each other out. It really is, because all they care about is each other.
Yeah,
and
so sweet. Very sweet.
Yeah. But I don't know what soon to be a motion picture is, and Hollywood's a funny thing. It might take stuff often never happens.
Yeah.
But the Mark Miller hype machine will have you believe that it's already up for an Academy Award, and exciting stuff to work on.
Yeah.
We mentioned Paul Pope. He had one of my favorite stories in Strange Sports Stories.
Ooh.
Which is this book right here. Amy could probably hold it up better than I can, because I don't know anything about space. But Strange Sports Stories, Vertigo has been doing a lot of quarterly anthologies. They did CMYK, which was based on different colors of printing.
Awesome cover by
Strange
Celia
Sports is Strange. It's a great cover with the zebra.
Yeah.
But I did a short story in number 3 about sumo wrestling with Natasha Bustos, who did fantastic art. And I felt really good about it. I'm usually not as vain as Amy calls it. But I'm like, wow, I've read 3 issues. I've done the best story in all these issues. I'm reading the 4th. I said, I'm one of the best. I'm really happy with how the whole thing came together. And then Paul kind of finishes up with mostly silent with goofy voiceover, robot football game, and it's so good. It's so Planet of the Apes or Jack Kirby, post-apocalyptic wasteland story, and like I said, it feels like all those things, looks like all those things. Classic Paul, but Paul's working on always a million stuff, but he'll be on the show later this summer. Yeah. But Strange Sports Stories, good stuff. Support Vertigo, and especially the anthologies. They really try to mix it up with up-and-comers, personal favorites, and kind of the superstar. Cool. What do you got?
I've got We Can Never Go Home, number 3. Our friend Matt Rosenberg, who will probably be on the show as well, has been in the past.
Yeah, he was on some of our test episodes. But we know him. He used to work at Forbidden Planet. Yeah. And a great writer, a brilliant comic shop employee, which sounds like a backhanded compliment. But a big part of why Rocket Girl became, kind of Forbidden Planet's second highest selling book, or so they tell us. After Saga, which we're going to get to again later, we're going to keep teasing it. But, a lot of people, their dream is actually to work in a comic shop. You know what I mean? And I worked in a comic store for a long time. I owned one. Again, for another day, what that's kind of like. But, Matt plugging away, working hard, making connections. He wrote the Wu-Tang Clan comic because he tracked down RZA or however it worked out to make it all happen, and kind of inserted himself, but was able to make it happen. But now has a new Black Mask book. We Can Never Go Home. 3rd issue comes out today.
Pretty awesome.
That's right. Like I said, we'll never get to all of them. Trade paperbacks coming out. A couple of books that we'll definitely talk about.
Ms. Marvel.
Is Ms. Marvel, one of Amy's favorite, one of my favorites.
It's if you're new to comics and you want to read something, especially if, you're a woman and want some... men, you'll enjoy it too, but, if you're looking for something that would be awesome, I would check out Ms. Marvel. It's very well acclaimed, and it's kind of a new character, so it's easy to jump in. Yeah,
and the 3rd trade paperback just came out today, but you can get the first 2. I'm guessing it collects somewhere around the first 15 issues. But G. Willow Wilson, a book that we'll probably have a whole episode on at some point. Yeah. And Adrian Alfona was the first artist.
Yeah, lots of really great artists on there.
And again, a phenomenon, because not just... There really has been a shift in comics towards diversity, and some of it is buzzwords and lip service, and let's just be diverse, which is funny because we've been saying it for a long time, or at least I've been saying it for a long time. Diversity is good for business, right? Because there's so many different kinds of people out there. But a book like Ms. Marvel is not just, hey, let's throw it out there so we can have a young Muslim female hero. It's selling tremendously well. It's been reprinted a god-awful amount of times as single issues. But I remember we were in Jim Hanley's universe, I guess around the time when it was first coming out. Do you remember?
Yeah. It was like the 3rd issue or something. And
somebody came in very timid
Yeah.
And very, it's like, oh, do you
could tell
have...
that she wasn't comfortable there, but she,
Yeah.
but she actually, no,
not
she
that
had it ordered in.
Not that JHU is in a great place.
No, but she had it
called
ordered
ahead,
in,
right.
and so she just went straight to the desk and got her Ms. Marvel and left.
And it's funny because I really like the new JHU kind of layout. It's very inviting. It has a whole aisle of books, and despite being that type of store, she made a beeline to get her book and get right out of there.
Yeah.
And I guess, like I said, not because the place wasn't inviting, not because comics are uninviting, although they sometimes can be.
Because
but maybe
she's
it was
not
just
a
her
comics
personality.
reader,
Yeah, exactly.
and she's new to it.
And so what's better than that than to see it really, the outreach.
Yeah.
Which is something we're hoping, like I said, a lot of casual readers hopefully watching the show, but Twitch being, mainly a video game platform, and video games being so much bigger an industry and a fan base than comics. It's great. And then, but there's so many video games based on comics and so many movies based on comics. It's nice to be able to address not just the hardcore fans. Because when we've been doing PodCorn, I'm guessing every single one of our listeners is a fan and really likes comics. But, hopefully, changing up the format and talking about new stuff, there's a lot of cool things to get. And speaking of changing up the format, Batgirl, first collection came out today.
Indeed.
Of the new direction stuff. I guess they label it number 1. Does it have any subtitle? Because there's been a million
Batgirl of Burnside.
So Batgirl of Burnside by Cameron Stewart, Brendan Fletcher, and Babs Tarr, right?
Yes.
Really making an effort to do a new kind of Batgirl. Even though Gail Simone was doing a pretty, she wasn't doing a doing a bad job.
Batgirl was already pretty well treated.
Yeah, exactly.
But
definitely a different look and a different feel.
It was, yeah.
And even it's like a team. It's like all those. I feel that all of them and Becky Cloonan and everything that they're doing. Yeah. Gotham Academy, I think, came out today also, right? Mm-hmm.
It's more towards teens. It's more towards girls.
They're not like a studio of people working on the same book, but they're like a kind of a cool club where good ideas are kind of popping out.
Yeah.
Annie Wu is drawing a new Black Canary with Brendan Fletcher, and it seems like I said they seem to be all simpatico, even though distinct.
It's true. They feel like they're part of a line, and they're just good-looking books. I mean, at least as far as I think. I mean, a lot of these, it's like the aesthetic is changing in comics, and I'm really enjoying it. So, but yeah.
Batman number 41 came out today. Batman's Dead for the...
this one? No.
I got the Sean Murphy variant cover.
Ooh, nice Joker.
Yeah, but Batman's Dead for about the 6th time in the last 6 years. Yeah. But even they kind of don't make too big a deal of it. That I don't want to give any spoilers. So Commissioner Gordon is running around in this big robot bat suit. So again, just changing up the story. Scott Snyder has been putting out the number 1 book for about 41 issues now. So, and with Greg Capullo doing, I think all the issues. I'm sure they've had some fill-ins.
Yeah.
But another big book, an enormously huge week.
Yeah.
Section 8, Garth Ennis' new book. If you want a different take on Batman altogether, it's hysterical stuff. It's kind of like his stuff on The Boys, which is really just making fun of superheroes. But if you want to learn, watch the. If you want to read up on the Avengers of Bueno Excelente and the Dog Welder and Six Pack and all the new heroes, the Grappler. So it's a Power Tool has a big drill just kind of sitting dead center in his face. It's good stuff and really takes the piss out of a lot of Batman comics that have been around recently.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. I feel like we're quick fire.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. There's Starfire.
Well, that's right. I like the art in that a lot.
Yeah, new Starfire, really pretty art. There's a lot of controversy on the character. It looks like she's a little more clothed, but she's still pretty sexy.
Yeah, well,
but maybe it's a happy medium between the two.
Well, what's wrong with sexy, as Nigel Tufnell once said. No, it's more of a romp. It's I think.
Yeah, I haven't read
Harley
it. So.
Quinn has been such a big hit that I think they wanted to reproduce Harley Quinn.
Oh, okay.
Where again, not what I mean. Maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it isn't. It isn't in any sense of the word gross. I think it's fair to say, and it's a good book. I love the art.
That'd be a nice swimsuit.
There you go.
I can totally see that being
Why
a
not?
swimsuit.
You can do it at the beach. Jamie Hewlett has new art in the new Tank Girl and a bunch of other stuff. I think it's new. Titan is kind of re-presenting all of the Tank Girl stuff. And so all the collections are coming back into print in new editions. And new
like this guy's face.
yeah, new Tank Girl with about 10 different stories by all different artists. And again, Jamie Hewlett, if you like the Gorillas or whatever else.
Yeah.
Actually did that. It's about an 8-page, first 8 pages are,
Oh, okay.
are
him.
his stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, so you're looking at like...
Oh, I see.
Okay.
I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
New Descender by old pal Jeff Lemire.
Descender. And artist Justin Nguyen. I don't know why I couldn't think of it in the second, but he does watercolors, and it's really beautiful. So...
Right. We mentioned briefly Gotham Academy.
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of stopped reading Gotham Academy, but then this seems to be like a new arc or like just one special issue by an artist that I'm not totally familiar with, but her name is Mingju Helen Chen. But yeah, just like really cute style, and I feel like it's going to be a good read. Oh, I opened it up to the Twix ad.
Yeah, the very controversial ad. A lot of people quit DC because they put an ad halfway in the page, and I don't know. I think it's the same people who have quit DC several times in the past. So I don't know how angry they are still.
Yeah,
But,
it's just like a weird relationship between the two.
I'm taking my last 3 DC books off the pull list.
Yeah, it's like an on and off again relationship.
I'm so angry.
Yeah.
People are very angry in comics sometimes.
Indeed.
What are you going to do? And Constantine, which everyone calls Constantine except English people.
So
Amy and I were debating.
Yeah.
Is it Constantine or Constantine?
Brandon calls it Constantine.
I call it what my English friends do. That's what Simon Bisley called it.
Constantine number 1.
Peter Milligan called it.
What, because it used to be Vertigo and now they're moving it to DC?
They already moved it to DC, and now they're relaunching
it's a
again
relaunch?
as Constantine the Hellblazer.
Okay.
By James Tynion.
And Ming Doyle.
Ming Doyle co-writing.
They both are writing it. And then
Riley Rossmo. Art. I love the art in this. It was good. He's in New York. I guess they're going to keep him there. He's younger. It's interesting, but he's still kind of jaded. It's hard to, like I said, it's hard to have a guy who was a punk in the '80s and then relaunch him as he can still be that kind of guy. It's something to get your footing under. I kind of like the stories that were very few and far between. And I was editor on Hellblazer for a long time, but when we did issue 250, some people just drew him older. Gibbons and Phillips made him this old fat guy.
Nice.
And some people make him young and, debonair. So, not a new take. It kind of takes elements that have been there and picks and chooses what it wants for a new story. And pretty good.
The guy
like I said,
looks English. I'm glancing here.
Very English looking.
I don't know. Something about him just looks English to me.
That's right.
What were you going to say about it? I'm sorry.
That's it. He looks very English to me.
He looks very English. Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting...
Right, the other semi-pick of the week, which is, I don't know why we have crazy things.
Yeah. What?
Crazy awards.
Oh, yeah. Ghost Racers number 1.
So popular that Amy, we'll often split comics because we're neighbors, but...
We both
two
got
copies.
it. Yeah, of course.
By
Felipe Smith is writing.
Multiple PODCORN award winner.
Yes, Felipe Smith. We love Felipe, and we know him from Tokyo Pop actually, and he went after his Tokyo Pop days doing MBQ.
Right.
He went to Japan and he made it. He was like actually being published in like a legit, what do they call him? Publisher over there.
A legit publisher.
I don't know what they're all called over there.
Well,
but
he was in the weekly manga anthologies.
Okay.
Doing Pipochu.
Yeah.
Which I think we have some art for.
Yeah, they translated it.
Yeah. But again, that's kind of it's been like they tried to do that with Paul Pope and John Muth and a couple of people.
And Takeshi Miyazawa.
But decades ago, specifically American artists, you had to go over there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They all kind of flamed out and didn't do too much. But Felipe sat there and worked himself like a dog to kind of do Pipochu, which is great because it's very Japanese and it's very American and it's very much about cross-culture.
Yeah.
And like I said, some of the art popping up now. It's
super violent, super sweary, super sexual, but all for good reasons for the story. Actually, it's not gratuitous. So.
And he wrote all new Ghost Rider, and he's writing this Ghost Racers, which we said before. The Secret Wars is kind of a summer event where it's just, this is pretty cool. It's just all the different Ghost Riders and even a new Ghost Rider, just kind of in this arena of death, like the end of Ben-Hur, racing every night and killing each other, and then presumably starting all over again the next time, but not drawing it. He drew the last couple of issues of all new Ghost Rider. He's a writer artist on stuff like Pipochu. But
mostly writing, and it's great. Like, I think this time more than ever, it really felt like I was watching an anime, which is more his style. I know when he's doing his own stuff, he like lets there be a lot of space. It basically reads like a TV show. Like it's sort of like you're watching a race.
Designs of the Ghost Racers.
Yeah, it's really cool that they have these redesigns. You know, there's like a guy on a horse. There's like, I guess there's a chick Ghost Rider that I didn't know about, so that was like a nice little thing that I liked. But yeah, I felt like the artist was really, really like a great match, which is like, I'm happy for Felipe because he and Tradd Moore were also a really good mix.
Yeah, Tradd Moore did the first arc of the all new Ghost Rider, and then Damian Scott did some, and I don't know if, and then Felipe, I don't know if there's anybody else working on the book, but Felipe is great, a different kind of voice, so it's great to see him working on a mainstream book. But when you put him on a mainstream book, it all of a sudden becomes not mainstream. You know what I mean? It becomes something different. Yeah. And Ghost Rider is cool, and you always remember him as the flaming skull motorcycle. But even this is different. The new Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider in Felipe's run, he drives a car. It's a different kind of story. Yeah. He's a little sweeter himself, but has to battle off the demons. So definitely pick up the collected editions. I think it's in 2 volumes of Ghost Rider. Pick up Ghost Racer, and fingers crossed that they will be back, Ghost Rider again.
So is this just like one issue, or is it like...
It's a mini... Like I said, it's a part of the...
It's a mini-series.
I don't know how many issues. It might be 3, it might be 4. It'll go this summer. And then, like I said, I don't know if there's any plans for a new ongoing Ghost Rider, but... I'm definitely buying it if there is. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was just cool. It was interesting because it's the first time I've ever read something that felt like I was just watching an episode of TV or like watching a race on the TV. And then they even had like post commentary and stuff. It was weird. It was like watching a sport live.
Yeah. So a lot of books that we say catch up on, but if you're not reading Saga...
Yeah, we're assuming if you read comics, you read Saga.
Yeah. But since a lot of you don't, you probably haven't read Saga. Number 29 came out today.
Yeah.
No special issue except for the fact that every issue of Saga is special.
Is special. Yeah. But Saga is definitely like a phenomenon, and yeah, so many people that aren't reading anything are reading Saga. It's selling really well. It's creator owned. It doesn't have it like Batman or Spider-Man like attached to it, and it's doing swimmingly.
All right, by Brian K. Vaughan writes it, and Fiona Staples is the artist.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff since issue 1. There's a lot of stuff that they did. They did a book, not they, but Brian K. Vaughan did a book called Runaways, which is one of my favorites and one of Amy's favorites. When the first issue though of Saga came out, it was so good, and it's like, this is like it's unbelievable. It
was a breath of fresh air. Not
just that, but kind of change even my appreciation for comics. And I've been reading comics for 25 years, more 35 years almost, somewhere in between 25 and 35. But so good, amazing art from Fiona.
Yep.
Who's so cool and has to design 50 new characters. Like, check out this cover.
Like
none of these characters are really that important.
Yeah,
like I said, to the story. It's just like you said. So complete.
It's a crazy space drama that has just like every single planet kind of has its own theme of characters.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like the Flash Gordon movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's not like. Flash Gordon was so original. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Or Star Wars, you know what I mean? Like everything.
True.
Everything. There's no like, here's the world and it's that world. It's like, there's the ice planet.
Yeah.
Or there's the sex planet. Or there's, you know what I mean? It's all these different things. But yeah, again, as its name implies, is it supposed to go on forever? I don't know. It was kind of a Romeo and Juliet story.
Yeah.
I don't know if we got pictures, or maybe we don't.
Well, we have one picture because there was something that we thought everybody would talk about, but I guess I guess that Saga already does shocking things and it was banned from Comixology at some point, or iTunes.
Yeah, this issue, Apple. Yeah, Comixology. I don't
even want to show it. It's so gross. I had to take a picture of it, and I don't.
Yeah, well, they gotta kind of steal something from a dragon.
Yeah, they gotta steal dragon.
What's the word?
Spooge. I don't know. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
So without further ado, this is what we had to look at when we read the comic.
Yeah, I don't know if it's coming up, but like I said, Dragon Spooge, as Amy so delicately put it, but not just that, but that the dragon is servicing himself.
Yeah.
So how can you say, well, this is a crazy book and nobody can read it? No, but it's like one of the best-selling books.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the most well-done books.
Yeah.
I don't know if the art's come up or not. I'm not seeing it on my feed, but yeah, it's there. Good.
It's probably just a delay. There we go.
So there we go.
Oh, God. Oh, it's so terrible.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you see a lot of, gross things in the book, but that, I don't know.
There's really no holds barred when it comes to Saga. But it's not gratuitous. It's not like, oh, my God, there was a big giant. Remember the big giant with the big ball sack? That was worse, I think.
No, I was all right with the ball sack.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's a total, like I said, if you haven't read Saga, it's a totally normal, played completely straight, best written book. Obviously not afraid of sex or anything like that, or any of those type of subjects.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was saying, as its name implies, a huge cast of characters. None of them are safe. One of the main characters, is done for in this issue. But so good, and again, you can catch up on Comixology or the collections or get the issues. To me, it's like the only thing I could say is like Sandman, like Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Mm-hmm. It's like you have that right now. It's ongoing. You're a part of it, and it's so cool. You'll be very, when this is collected, whenever it's done one day, you'll say, "Oh, I was reading it as single issues."
Yeah,
when
you were
it came
in
out.
on it. Yeah,
and I remember working on All-Star Superman, and we did 6 issues, and then it was collected, and then they were going to collect the last half, and the numbers would go down because that's what happens in comics. You start high, and then they kind of taper off. But All-Star Superman, Grant Morrison and Frank Whiteley, was so good. Won every single award. Could do no wrong. Everyone loved it. But the numbers would go down, and it's like, well, people are waiting for the trade, is what was kind of the idea. Well, they wait till it's all out, and I'm sure a lot of people wait for the trade on Saga, but I sure can't. I mean, every time the issue comes out...
Yeah, I want to know what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely... Well, that's Brian K. Vaughan for you. I mean, nobody... I think that's why he's so popular. I mean... Mm-hmm. People have been waiting for him to do another comic in ages because he was really popular. He did Y the Last Man and stuff, and then he left to be a writer on Lost. And we thought we lost him, and he kept guaranteeing us. He kept guaranteeing us that he would come back to comics, and he did. And so first of all, he really created an even greater need than there already was. Mm-hmm. But also he's kind of being a lost writer and all. He's the master of making cliffhangers at the end of every book that make you want to read the next one. It's just his thing, and they're like real cliffhangers. They're ones where you really do want to find out what happens next.
Yeah, and he's got a couple of new books coming out also. He's got We Stand on Guard, which is something about Canada fighting the United States with big giant robots.
Nice.
With Steve Scroce. I don't know how to pronounce his name. That's his name.
Sorry. I just doubt that that's really his name.
Okay, how would you pronounce Skroce?
Probably Scroce.
Scroce, not Scroce?
Yeah, I don't think it's Scroce.
What did they call him in high school, though? Hey, Scroce, don't you think?
Yeah.
And with our pal, who we didn't invite, but we should, Cliff Chang.
Yeah.
He's going to do Paper Girls, right? That's coming out, I think, in October.
What is Paper Girls? Is that the thing that's set in the 80s?
That's set in the 80s, and it's a mystery as to what it's about.
I didn't know that Cliff Chang was doing it.
Yeah, it's Cliff.
I'm excited.
So lots of Brian K. Vaughan stuff coming. But again, man, Saga's so good. It's like, it makes... I was joking about being in, the best in strange sports stories. You really read Saga, and you say, oh, man, this is how comics should always be made. And when we do Rocket Girl, it's it's like I said, you can say, oh, it was inspired by this from 100 years ago, or this from when I was a little kid, or this from some old time comic guy. But sometimes it's the contemporary books are that good.
Yeah.
And Saga really is. It sells fantastically. I mean, it's not. I mean, Walking Dead is a creator-owned book that's going to outsell it, and like I said, Batman or the Marvel's crossover, the DC crossover is going to outsell it. But it sells gangbusters. Yeah. It's like I said, and working for Image, like we're lucky enough to on Rocket Girl. That book's completely owned by the creative team. So when you buy a copy, it's like literally you put money in their pocket and letting them make more, which is fantastic. But why is Saga so good?
I think that Brian K. Vaughan is good, but I also think he's remarkably good at finding the right artists to tell a story. Mm-hmm. I mean, like every single artist that he's worked with has been like a top-notch storyteller, and really facilitates his writing. Basically, I really think that's what it is that he's really choosy with his artists. And Fiona knocked it out of the park. She was, fairly successful before that, but I mean, it just, she blew up because he saw something in her and he knew that it could be a good situation. I think also he's very into having artists who produce enough, and I would never be one that he would want for that reason.
Not for 29 issues.
Not for a monthly book, and so he really demands a lot of his artists.
Yeah, it's good that it's funny because you're complimenting the writer. I'm going to compliment.
I'm complimenting the writer by complimenting the artist. Actually,
well, I'm going to say though that. Where, as far as Fiona's concerned, there is no Saga without Fiona. I guess, of course, there's no Saga without Brian K. Vaughan as a writer, of course. But it's so much her.
No, it really is. It really is.
And there's so much responsibility on her shoulders.
Yeah.
To create this world, and so I mean that just goes to the old adage, and something that we'll definitely talk about on future episodes of the podcast. I mean, a writer's job in comics isn't as demanding as it is to be an artist. I mean, it's hard for everybody and everything that they do. But you write you work a day, and you get a half of a book done on a really a decent day, and you know what you're doing, and you can kind of get there. On your best day as an artist, maybe get one page done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And more often than not, it's you're struggling. And Amy does everything on Rocket Girl.
Yeah.
There's the colors.
So does Fiona, except for the letters.
Yeah.
And she even handwrites part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So she does do some of the letters.
Yeah. So it's but what Amy's kind of saying is something that I always try to keep in mind is to not just pick the right artist, but to give the artist what they need to do their best work. As silly as, and that's just literally the kind of script that you deliver. Enough room to kind of to depict what you want them to, what you really want there to be an impact over, but also to have some collaboration. You know what I mean? I think they work pretty traditionally. Every time I've heard them in interviews or anything like that, where Brian gives Fiona a script and then they're off to the races. But it's just it's so much her that
I think he also facilitates.
Is that what the dragon was doing?
Yes, that's what that's called. Facilitating.
No, it's called. No,
that's okay.
It's called autofellatio, according to Alex Liu, our
producer.
Our producer.
Thanks, Alex. No, but I think to facilitate the fact that she's supposed to draw fast, he also creates a script that can be done faster, that doesn't need as many backgrounds.
I don't do that. I don't do that at all.
You don't do that at all.
No, but you're slow anyway, so I figure
So you figure you'll make me slower.
Might as well milk it.
Okay.
Well, we were going to talk about a little bit about kind of the Rocket Girl art process, but I guess we'll save that for next week.
Yeah.
We're going to, I think, next week talk about kind of the covers in the new arc.
Yes.
And
maybe next time dedicate a little extra time to answering questions from the listeners.
Yeah, so we're kind of still new at all this. Obviously, this is our first show, so you can't get newer than that.
Yeah.
Although we had secret practices.
Yeah, it's not totally our new show.
But hit us up on Twitter, or hit us up on Twitch, or hit us up anywhere with questions, and maybe we'll talk about what you want to talk about. That sounds like a really... Has that been used in radio before,
No, never.
We're talking about what you want to talk about.
I'm pretty sure that we could probably copyright that.
That's good. Let's get my dad on the phone. He's a lawyer, and he will sue if anybody steals that. Amy was once really mad at me, and she said, I don't even know why. It was so uncalled
Brandon,
for.
No.
Okay, I won't say
Okay.
it. I can't. Well, now it's.
No.
I can't say the short version.
No.
What are you gonna do? Get your dad to sue me? That's what she said, and it was. I don't know. It was.
I said, "Daddy lawyer."
Yeah, and for the record, I've never thrown that around to anybody. You know what I mean? So, you gonna get your daddy lawyer to sue me? I don't know. We made up though.
Yeah.
It was probably around Rocket Girl number 4 that was very stressful.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so
So
yeah.
definitely, like I said, on Twitter.
Yep.
Who are you?
Yeah, you can find me. I have a Twitter account.
Do you?
It's believe it or not.
Is it defilitating?
No, it's not.
At the Filbert nuts.
All right. So yeah, you can find me at Amy Reader, and Brandon's at B Montclair.
Yeah, I couldn't do Brandon Montclair. Too many letters.
Yeah, too hard.
Yeah.
And you can, and special thanks to our producer, at Wax and Wings, which is Alex Liu.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
But our real producer.
But our real video producer, who's helping us tape this and knows his stuff, would be Mike Firth. You can find him at The Comic Archive, and he has
ditto on YouTube.
Yeah, he's on YouTube and has some pretty interesting things, including he was the guy who came up with the watching all of the Marvel movies chronologically, which probably it's like 3 days of viewing or something crazy.
Yeah.
So,
but lots of good video content and interviews.
Yeah,
and this will in audio form will show up on PODCORNPODCAST.com. Maybe video also. We're still going to figure out how to message that all to Twitch, but it'll be here.
Yeah,
it'll be there.
It'll
and
be
if you
everywhere.
want some cool Rocket Girl swag, and if you don't want it this week, you're going to want it next week when we go through the next few covers.
Yes, indeed.
But that's rocketgirl.nyc.
Yeah, so check it out.
Yeah, thanks again to Twitch for inviting us.
Thank you.
We had a good time. We hope they had a good time. We don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We'll find out
Again,
how this went.
Biggest thanks of all to Marcus Graham, a.k.a. DJ Wheat.
Indeed. Thank you, DJ Wheat.
We're going to get a couple of DJ names. We're still we got it down to a short list. Yeah.
Ooh. Well, I want mine to be extroversion olive oil.
Extra virgin?
Extroversion. Like
extrovert.
like an extrovert.
I see.
Extroversion olive oil.
DJ extroversion. That's a lot.
No, I'm not going to say DJ.
We need DJ names.
You don't need if you're a DJ, you don't have to be DJ this all the time, right? Isn't that how that works?
I'm going to be DJ Dr. Doom because I like the way that sounds.
I used to want to be called Metro Gnome, but somebody's using that.
Yeah, I believe. Why would you say gnome?
Like, because
you need people to understand.
I need to help people understand.
I got it. Would you have a red pointy hat?
Yeah.
And a beard?
Yeah.
And forest friends?
Yeah.
All right, so
little
tune in.
Deers.
Tune in for that.
Mushrooms.
Gnome.
Good
night. That's how you would sign off.
Good night, gnomes. All right.
Thanks. See you next week, Thursday. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll come up with our own one of those soon.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.